The world believes Adolf Hitler is untouchable, a man who has conquered nations, broken empires, and turned fear into a political weapon. To millions of Germans, he is a military genius, a leader who wins wars before breakfast and promises victory without sacrifice. But behind the grand speeches, behind the marching armies, behind the myth of the unstoppable Third Reich, a shocking truth waits to be exposed. This is the story the Nazi regime never wanted the world to hear. How Hitler's facade of strength begins to crack. How loyalty inside the Nazi elite collapses into paranoia and betrayal. How the military genius makes one catastrophic decision after another. And how Hitler himself, hidden from the world, physically, mentally, and morally, falls apart. This is not the Hitler shown in propaganda films. This is the Hitler that his inner circle tried desperately to hide. The real Hitler, as Germany spirals toward destruction. Welcome to the untold dark side. 18 months after the war begins, Hitler stands at the peak of his power. He has crushed Europe, silenced opponents, and convinced an entire nation that he is the greatest strategic leader the world has ever seen. To the German people, he has delivered victory after victory, with none of the horrors they remember from the trenches of World War I. Germany believes the Nazi leadership is strong, united, and unstoppable, but beneath the surface, something rotten is beginning to show, and that facade is about to collapse. Chapter 1. The First Crack. Rudolf Hess's mysterious flight. Summer 1941. A lone parachute drops into a quiet Scottish field. British Home Guard soldiers rush toward the mysterious figure and discover something unbelievable. The man is Rudolf Hess, Deputy Führer, Hitler's oldest political companion, a pillar of Nazi power. And now he claims he has come alone to negotiate peace. The British are stunned. Hess insists he is on a one-man mission to bring peace between Germany and Britain, but under interrogation, a darker truth emerges. Hess wasn't there for peace, he was there for survival. Inside Nazi leadership, rivalries and power struggles were growing, and Hess feared he was losing his position as Hitler's closest confidant. His flight was a desperate attempt to regain importance. For the first time, the world sees that Nazi leadership is not united. It is a boiling mixture of jealousy, ambition, and betrayal. Hitler is furious. He screams at his staff, raging that Hess has humiliated him and the entire regime. The illusion of unity has shattered, and the man tasked with hiding this embarrassment from the German people is the master manipulator, Joseph Goebbels. Chapter 2. Goebbels, the architect of deception. Goebbels immediately spins the Hess disaster. He tells Germany that Hess has gone mad, overworked, delusional, unstable, a convenient explanation. But many Germans aren't convinced. If Hess was mad, why was he the deputy Führer? Still, the propaganda machine rolls on, and soon Hitler decides to take the greatest gamble of his life. He invades the Soviet Union. Chapter 3. Barbarossa. The gamble of a broken genius. For Hitler, this is the final battle, the war he dreamed of since the beer hall days. A crusade against communism, a mission to seize living space for the German race in the East. As German armies surge into Soviet territory, victories come fast. Millions of Soviet prisoners are taken. It appears Hitler's grand prophecy is coming true. To Germany, it looks like the war will be over in weeks. Hitler confidently declares Russia is destroyed and will never rise again. But then, the Red Army stops running, and the Russian winter arrives. Temperatures plunge to -32 degrees Celsius, machines freeze, fuel turns solid, soldiers starve on raw horse meat, because cooking smoke will reveal their position. The unstoppable war machine Hitler promised is now frozen in place. Even worse, German generals warned that the campaign is impossible, but Hitler refuses to listen. He demands more speed, more aggression, more blind obedience. Germany begins its first retreat of the war. And again, Goebbels steps in to hide the truth. Chapter 4. The lies that kept a nation asleep. In cinemas across Germany, Goebbels releases cheerful newsreels. German troops laughing in the snow, defeating Soviet rabble, winning effortlessly. The German people cheer, believing these carefully staged scenes represent reality. Spies secretly listening to public conversations report that morale is strong. The deception is working. But another disaster is already unfolding. Across the world in Hawaii, American warships burn under Japanese bombs, and Hitler makes the most disastrous decision of his career. Chapter 5. Hitler declares war on the United States. Without consulting his generals, without preparing his nation, without fully understanding the consequences, Hitler declares war on the most industrially powerful nation on Earth. He believes America is weak, a racially inferior society of mixed backgrounds that will collapse under pressure. He has underestimated the wrong enemy. Within months, the American war machine awakens, and the consequences will reshape the entire world. Germany is now fighting the Soviet Union in the east, the British in the west, and the United States across oceans. Hitler has doomed his nation to a three-front war it cannot survive. Chapter 6. Stalingrad. The beginning of the end. Hitler turns his attention back to Russia and orders his armies towards Stalingrad. The battle becomes a nightmare of street-to-street fighting. Bodies freeze in place. Snipers lurk everywhere. Then, in a brilliant counterattack, Soviet forces encircle the entire German Sixth Army. 250,000 German soldiers are trapped. Generals plead for a retreat. Hitler refuses, and Hermann Göring, supposedly one of Germany's greatest military minds, promises that his Luftwaffe can supply the trapped army by air. It is a lie. Göring, once a decorated World War I pilot, is now a morphine addict drowning in stolen art and self-indulgence. His judgment is broken. His leadership is gone. The Luftwaffe fails catastrophically. The Sixth Army collapses. Nearly 100,000 soldiers are captured. Stalingrad becomes the symbol of Hitler's downfall. And now even Goebbels cannot hide the truth. Total war. In a desperate attempt to rally the nation, Goebbels stands before a roaring crowd and asks, "Do you want total war?" Their answer, yes. He paints a picture of German heroism, of noble suffering, of victory through endurance. But beneath the patriotic cries lies a grim reality. Germany is losing, and for the first time, ordinary Germans begin to doubt everything they were told. A small group of Munich students, calling themselves the White Rose, begin distributing anti-Nazi leaflets. For speaking a single word, freedom, they are executed. Hitler's regime becomes more paranoid, more violent, more desperate. Chapter 8. The hammer blows of American industry. While Germany bleeds, American factories explode with production. Cars become tanks, typewriters become machine guns, aircraft roll out in numbers that Germans could never match. American troops join British forces in North Africa. The Axis is pushed back. Italy begins to crumble. Mussolini is overthrown. Hitler's dream of united fascist Europe collapses overnight. And then comes the horror Germany never imagined. Chapter 9. Firestorms over the fatherland. Allied bombers darken the skies over Germany. City after city burns. Hamburg is consumed in a single firestorm that kills at least 40,000 people. Hitler's promised quick victory is now a nightmare of ruin and ashes. To maintain control, Hitler appoints Heinrich Himmler, the architect of terror, as Minister of the Interior. Repression tightens. Fear becomes the only tool left. But the Germans still do not know the darkest truth of all. Their leader, the man they trusted, is falling apart. Chapter 10. The secret collapse of the Führer. Hidden in the Wolf's Lair bunker, Hitler withdraws from the world. He avoids public events. He avoids his generals. He avoids reality. He walks with a stoop. His hands tremble. His energy fades. Doctors pump him with heavy narcotics, stimulants, sedatives, and experimental injections. A dictator once worshipped as a superhuman leader is now dependent on drugs just to function. He becomes isolated, paranoid, and increasingly delusional, surrounded only by his girlfriend Eva Braun and his personal doctor. Germany has no idea. The propaganda keeps running, but the truth cannot be hidden forever. As defeat approaches, Hitler will drag his nation down with him. The truth behind the myth. For years, the German people believed in an illusion, a strong leader, a united party, a genius at war. But the reality was the opposite. A divided leadership consumed by rivalry, a dictator making fatal decisions, a propaganda machine hiding disaster after disaster, and a leader collapsing from within. This is the untold story behind the greatest lie of the Nazi regime, the myth of Adolf Hitler and the dark reality that destroyed an entire nation. This has been the Untold Dark Side, revealing the truth behind history's darkest myths.